There's a question that I've been seeing lately, and that is how Obsidian is able to release two games. Some people are tagging them AAA games in 1 year. I guess it's how the cards basically just fell. This is not usual. However, this is something that, for the most part, a lot of people have, in a sense, I don't know, forgotten about, or maybe it's just because when Xbox is in the news, everybody throws away modicum of common sense whenever they're judging Xbox. Even Xbox fans, y'all are guilty of it. I see you guys in the comment section fretting over things that are just so weird. I've talked about this in previous videos where I talked about Xbox's capability to deliver content at the moment and why it's definitely something that if you're in that ecosystem, and even if you play games from outside that ecosystem, you need to pay very close attention to. Now, Xbox and its, studios that are under it is now better positioned, seeing that more games are getting churned out, seeing that the Gamepass strategy is there, and people now see this influx of games, both announced, some already given dates, and some already coming down the pipeline. And I think this is very important at the end of the day when the conversation comes about to highlight that the Xbox Studio pipeline is one that just has the propensity, under good management, to deliver what I think is a juggernaut of content. Looking at this chart that was put by Clobril together back in October, I think this gives us a really interesting picture as to how things are positioned right now. Obviously, they spent $70 billion on this stuff, so it better be pumping out games. That's basically what I've been saying all this while. I'm also of the mind that PlayStation needs to figure out a way to catch up to what's going on. They need a PC store. Many of you may laugh and say that this is not something that would work or whatever it is. However, that's how people laughed at the Xbox online store as well for PC. And now they're starting to put money into it because they're seeing some movement in there. People are actually engaging with their games like Call of Duty. They're engaging with their games like Starfield on there because of Game Pass. So it makes sense that they bolster it. And PlayStation, I don't think anyway, should leave them to just run free on this ecosystem. Get in there. PlayStation is already wanting that anyways. They're asking, PC players for monthly active users. Why not just create your own store? In my opinion anyways, make it available for your PlayStation Plus premium users to have some of their games across the board. They already have trophies and stuff. Do a cross integration in that regard. And then when PC players come out there, if you really want the PlayStation account, then give them a reason to actually have a real PlayStation account. Now, the trust factor of a PlayStation as to keeping your data, that's a whole different conversation. I mean, I do have a PlayStation account. I'm a PlayStation player. So, again, it is one of those things where you got to say, I hope this data is safe because even they are not really that well known for keeping data. Now, anybody can get breached. I'm not going to sit here and act like, this is something that's exclusive to them. But this is where the question, and I think right now, the depiction of what they're doing is coming into full perspective. So when you take a look at, pretty much people's representations of what's going on, some people are starting to see the difference pretty much get highlighted. Avowed is coming very soon to the Game Pass ecosystem, and then Outer Worlds Part 2 has just been recently announced. I strongly believe that this is basically what the day one on Game Pass strategy really should look like at the end of the day. When you kind of think about it, when you consider that, okay, all of this really does lead to the Game Pass ecosystem showing what it's about, then it starts to make a whole lot of sense. They've done a lot of announcements in the past, but those announcements, were games that were in the works kind of coming. But now that we're starting to see dates, now that we're starting to see calendar years, it now brings everything full circle where you can now take a look and say, okay, this roadmap is something definitely that Xbox pretty much wants to put out there for you to see what's going on. Now, there are a few things and a few changes that have already happened. This is another one by another Twitter, user called Mr. Kima. I don't know who they are, but I just saw this and I thought it was interesting. People Can Fly the other day were talking about having to reduce their staff count. So we don't know what this Project Maverick is going to look like at the end of the day. However, we do know that Avowed is coming in February. It had a November date, but it's now basically a February date. Fable, we don't have a date for. Perfect Dark, we don't have a date for. Fallout 5, oh my gosh, that's way, way, way in advance of what's going to be coming very soon down the pipeline. But you can already see that this roadmap is moving back and forth, and this is an old one. It has the, Call of Duty from, it has Starfield all the way back and Shattered Space DLC, basically, that was fall this year. But you can see the different games: Black Ops 6, Age of Empires, Flight Simulator, Indiana Jones. This, small little pocket here has already been executed upon. And a lot of people were saying, we would like to actually see the games. We want to see the games. And there is a reason, for people to want to actually see the games, to actually realize if this is all fugazi, if this is not. And the reality is that it's here. They don't spend the money. They don't commission all the work. So it's now time for us to see stuff. So the next set of games now that we're going to be looking forward to will be Avowed. We'll be looking for Doom Dark Ages, Clockwork Revolution. I don't know when that's going to be coming out. But Outer Worlds 2, that was supposed to be on the 2026, /27 pipeline, seems to have been moved forward. And Obsidian basically is in that spotlight. South of Midnight seems like it's still keeping the 2025 date. And Fable is the one that everyone is kind of asking, okay, where and when is this game going to be, unveiled with the date? I think 2025 just looks really interesting depending on the progress of these other games. Even with the games that are available to show up in 2025, I think Xbox has a content delivery that PlayStation has to catch up to. This is just the reality across the board. I don't think there's any, need or any reason for anybody to, pretty much try to dispute this. I mean, you can try, but at the end of the day, it's not really going to help anything because it's just a numerical, piece at the end of the, the conversation. So right now, if you have a Game Pass subscription, or if you maybe have a Game Pass subscription that you've extended, you have an idea as to, say, maybe even Q1, what that's going to look like. So at least you can say, okay, maybe your next 4 months of Game Pass, is it worth it for you? You can do a numerical calculation. If you don't think it's worth it, then this is where you basically need to hop off that train. And then if games come out that you actually like, maybe say the Call of Duty game coming down the line in the fall of 25, you can probably dial in back again. And I think this is particularly exactly what Xbox wants. People are going to be, there's going to be an influx back and forth for this particular ecosystem. But at the end of the day, I don't think you're going to see too much of that downward trend in terms of Game Pass subscribers. You're going to basically see something of a slight uptick from time to time, or then maybe some big bumps when there are big games that people are interested in. I think Fable is going to be one that really does draw a lot of people in. This is a game that a lot of people have been looking forward to. And then Doom, I think that's going to be the game changer for the year that it comes out. Yeah, Call of Duty is going to be a thing, but Doom, because it's multi-plat, it's a heavily loved game and a heavily profitable game. I just see it as that piece that Xbox is probably going to save for maybe a dry spell, or maybe like a hardware launch or something. And we'll probably see something along the lines of that. But again, these are, just pretty much speculative. I'm not certain as to when this stuff, all these things are going to be coming out, but we do have some dates. And I strongly believe that the question about Obsidian being able to make, multiple games in 1 year is just probably it's probably the tip of the iceberg, because at the end of the day, you probably wouldn't even be paying attention very soon to who's releasing what. Game Pass is just going to be filled with all of these high-end games at the end of the day. This is going to be a huge disruptor in the market. I think 2023 was kind of like that proof of concept. And then 2024 kind of showed that, okay, this is something that if we have, say, maybe a few games that do, pretty much okay, and then one that does big, like your Call of Duty, you can see this thing actually do a good job. Then what happens in a year where like 4 or 5 games, possibly big games that people are looking forward to? What happens when those games drop on Game Pass? I guess that question is yet to be answered, and I'm hoping that we get to see what that looks like. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys this time and audience. Talk to me in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.